Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello, Unbreakable Mompreneurs. So if you are listening to this podcast, you're most likely a mom. And so if you have postpartum to perimenopause, we are going to talk about that today. So my name is Charisse Walker, your host, and today I'm here with Amy Loden Tiffany. So without further ado, Amy, why don't you introduce yourself? Because you're super accomplished.
Oh, thanks. I'm a mom like all of you, right? Like we're just figuring it out as we go. But great to be here. I'm a medical doctor by background, and over the last 12 years, I've had the privilege of having 4 humans of my own to try to keep alive. And then we are fostering a 5th child right now. So the idea of being a businesswoman and having my own practice and being a mom at the same time resonate with me. And when I found your show, I was like, oh, I wanted to talk to her. So delighted to be here.
Well, thank you. And you've written a book, you've done TEDx talks about this. And I think that this is a topic that we don't really talk about a lot,
Yeah.
especially, I mean, even if you've had a miscarriage, where the postpartum, you still go through postpartum. And so we just don't
Yes.
talk a lot about that and what
Right.
happens. And so when it comes to women and the burnout, because that's kind of what happened to you, right? Burnout. What is your advice to women that, like, I just had my birthday yesterday. I'm like over the other side of the hill now.
You joined the club? Come on.
I did. And +1, right? And so
Yeah.
I think of it and all these different things that we're involved in
Yeah.
because we feel like we have to prove ourselves or we feel like we
Right.
have, and then we have these humans that we're
hmm
raising
hmm
and we get tired. So
Yeah.
what is your advice? So, I mean, are there
hmm
biological things happening that we're unaware of?
Yes. And as you pointed out, there's culture, there's expectations from others, not to mention any layers that we can't even have the scope to acknowledge today.
Right.
But there is biologically differences. I mean, there's a reason 20-year-olds are better at having babies than 40-year-olds, right? There's
Amen.
differences. So I do think acknowledging those, and I didn't have my first until I was 29. Many professional women do delay childbearing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not intentional, and there are those multiple miscarriages or infertility or other challenges, and certainly those are tough. There's no doubt about those. But what I would say for the most part, let me take it this way. What I wish my 20-year-old self had known compared to my 40-something-year-old self. And I'm not going to be brave enough to admit how old I am, so don't judge me. But I think if I had understood at 20 that I didn't even appreciate how scared I was of failure. I had to be perfect. I had to meet the expectations. Of course, at 20, I was trying to get into medical school. So anything less than an A was devastating to me because I knew that if I didn't get a really high GPA, I was going to end up not either being waitlisted or not get into medical school. So that was kind of my mindset at 20. And then by 30, I now have a 6-month-old baby. And it's like, okay, it's my first kid. Like I've taken care of thousands of people. I've been in the pediatric rotations. Like I know all this stuff. So why am I failing and sucking at this mom thing? Right? Like, what's wrong with me that this isn't working the way I thought it would? So now that I'm in my 40s, what I would say is instead of being afraid of failure, I don't have a fear of failure anymore. My fear is regret. I don't want to get to my deathbed and have regrets.
Yeah.
And part of the reason that switched for me was a very traumatic birth experience I had where I did end up nearly dying in my last pregnancy. That's what prompted me to say, hey, we need a TED talk about this. We need to write a book to help moms figure out that they're not failures, that we have to really identify what works for them and their family and their circumstances. And so that was the big transformation that happened in my thinking. And would it have happened anyway? I don't know. We see people as they age all the time talk about what they wish they had done at earlier ages, right? So maybe that's part of just natural adulting. But I really came face to face with this idea that our mortality is real. We will all die, right? And you would think, well, you're a doctor, of course you know that. But a lot of us don't think about it in the long term. We don't make decisions for the long term. And a lot of the work I do now is based on this idea of how do you identify what's important to you? How do you go after it without compromising who you are as a person, especially important for moms? And then how do you look backwards with grace and realize that that was part of the story you were going to always have and you need to learn from it rather than criticize and beat yourself down for it, which we are very good at as women. I don't need anyone to judge me because I judge myself enough, right? And I bet every woman here can identify that the thoughts we have about ourselves are so much more negative than the thoughts anyone else has about us.
I don't know. I've been a little emotional. And even with my podcast, like if people go back and see, there was a 3-week gap. I didn't know that I didn't publish. I thought it was only 2 weeks, but I'm so
Yeah.
overwhelmed right now with so many things on my plate. I'm forgetting things I never, ever would have
Mm-hmm.
forgotten before, or I didn't
Yes.
care, right?
Yes. Right.
And this is probably going to be a very vulnerable podcast, but I think that like I was in my little craft room yesterday looking for something because this guy dropped off a 5-gallon bucket of grapes. And so I'm like, oh, I
Yes.
got to make these because it's starting to smell like wine now.
Well, I'm great.
And so, yeah, it only came 16 quarts, I think, but I did not have time for that at all.
Right.
That was the last
Right.
thing I needed to do, but yet I needed to do it. And then my countertops are now purple.
Yes.
So, it's fine. They'll go away eventually. But I was looking for cheesecloth in my craft room and I was looking through all this stuff and I'm like, oh, I remember when I used to want to be able to craft and do all these things with my kids.
Yes.
And with
Yes.
the first 4, like I had to be the breadwinner because my husband
Right.
would. This one, my current husband, I don't have to, right? So
Yeah.
I honestly could stay home and be a housewife and do nothing and but spend time with my kids and be able to do this stuff. And so I logged into my daughter's grade. She's 12, and I'm like, oh my gosh, junior high, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
sweetie, what is going on here? And shame on me, like I'm not helping her because I'm gone all the time. And so I just like this moment yesterday thought, what am I doing? Like, what am I trying to prove? Who am I here for? What am I trying to accomplish? Like, I would really just like to spend time. And my youngest is 10.
Yeah.
So, like, yes, I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I'm not a stay-at-home mom. And I think we as women, like as businesswomen, my question to you listeners are, who are you doing it for? What are you trying to prove? And why are you doing it? Because I'm thinking, I only have 8 years left with my daughter, 10
Yeah.
with my other one, or 8 years.
Right.
Like, we're over halfway. And I can't reverse time. So it's like all these things are happening, especially because I'm now over that hump. And it's like that's the part that what is important, and then
Yeah.
having to come to terms with that and be real.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what's your advice to women that
Yeah.
like are going through all these emotions?
I'm there with you. The road is rocky. Okay. So we're going to hang on and we're going to get through it. But I will tell you some things I've learned on my own journey that maybe will help you and your listeners. It's things that I'm probably one of the most vulnerable doctors with my patients compared to what I hear my colleagues talking about. But I think that authenticity is what's so valuable to people, right? The knowing that someone's already walked the same path, that you're not alone, and that what you're feeling is normal for what you're going through.
Yeah.
So one thing I would offer is stop beating yourself up, right? Like, it's done. You can't change the past. You can influence the future, but you get to decide right now. And stepping into the new year, everything decision you made brought you to this point where you realized, hey, I need to do something differently because I want to do something differently for me and the relationship I have with my kids. Right. And it doesn't exclude the woman who's trying to hold down 2 jobs while being there for her kids. Like, every one of us has a different role. And if I may gently push back on something you said, you mentioned I could just stay at home and just be a stay-at-home mom or something like that, right? Yeah. I get where you're coming from because my mom did that, but that is a lot of work. And just to honor the people who do that really well, because I suck at it. I'm not a stay-at-home mom and I still can't manage my house. So applauds to those who are able to do it. But it's a high calling, and certainly one that's worthy of good effort. So just to acknowledge that. What you're sharing, really, I went through something similar, and I'm happy to go into as much depth as you want. It caused me to create what I call the VIP filter that I use with my clients now to help work through some of these things. So 1,000-foot view was that I had 3,000 patients. I had 4 kids under 7. I was working in the clinic 50+ hours. I was working at home 30 to 40 hours every week. So you're talking about not being present for your kids. That was my reality. And at 7, my daughter point blank asked me one night, why do I love asking me, why do you love your job more than me? And that was the catalyst for me. I had been unhappy. I knew the tension was wrong. I knew the alignment was not fitting. But that moment was so clear to me that there's only one thing I have ever wanted more than to be a good doctor, which was to be a good mom. Yeah. And of course, my kids hear me say this enough now that when they're mad at me, they're like, "You're not being a good mom." I'm
Yeah.
like, "You're not going to push this button because I've already owned this, right? I've already done that. I've acknowledged it. I've moved on." But it's kind of interesting now because of changes I made with that conversation. I would have never told you 5 years ago that I would own my own medical practice, that I've done a TED Talk, I've done a book, right? Like that was never even on my radar.
Yeah.
But because of that conversation and the life-threatening experience I'd had just 18 months before when the twins were, when I was pregnant with them, those two things for me just pushed me to say, I'm not showing up to the highest calling I have in my life.
Yeah.
And I truly believe God called me to be a doctor, but he also called me to be a mom. And I want to do both well and not so that they're competing. And at that time in my life, I was really sacrificing my children to the altar of career.
Yeah.
And I was not okay with that. So I told my husband that night, I was like, listen, this isn't working. I can either retire or get a job, a different job. And I was convinced he's going to be like, fine, retire, stay at home mom, whatever. And he looked me dead in the eye. He's like, you are not retiring. I can't deal with you at home that much. So he said, go do something else. And he's been my number one fan in all this experiment that I've created. But I think having someone in your corner, whether it is a partner, a spouse, a significant other, a family member, a priest, whoever, that's going to say, live in and lean into your highest calling. So very quickly, because I don't want to distract too much, I'll share the VIP filter. But what it stands for is values, impact, priority. I don't believe that most women have a problem with time management. I think their problem is they don't manage their priorities. And if we can refocus our priority management, I think it changes our calendar, it changes our expenses, it affects our relationships, our health, and everything. So what I do with our patients is Brene Brown has done some amazing work in the world of shame, and I highly encourage listening to her, but she has created a values sheet where you can download it from her website, and it's got 50 plus different values. And what a value is just, for me, for example, it's faith, family, fitness, in that order. So those are my 3 words that everything has to align to one of those 3, or it's a no for me. And getting really comfortable saying no. And so is this aligned with my values or not? Impact goes to what I want to create in the world. If I'm going to die, what needs to happen to be my creation and legacy? And for me, a lot of that is the relationships I have with my children, because how they develop and grow and extend past my lifespan, right, will be the impact that I have helped create in the world. And so being available to them, whether it's for school or sports or who knows what. Late night talks when they're supposed to be in bed and I just want to cry because I'm so tired, right? Like we've all been in those different situations. And so understanding what is the impact I'm trying to make both personally and professionally. And then finally, prioritization and protecting that time and deleting things that don't add value to one of your values. And so my twins actually are kind of funny about this. They're 6 and they're like, mom's superpower is saying no. And I was like, oh, stop, right? And then one of them pipes up, he's like, here, we'll prove it. I want a yes day. I was like, no. And he's like, see, that's your superpower. You can say no. And so it's funny, but it's also resonated deeply because it's taken a lot of work for me to be able to say no. I want people to be happy with the decisions I make. I want to make people feel good around me, right? Like the people pleasing tendency is, I think, more common in women than men. And it can be seriously compromising to your quality of life, personally, professionally.
That was so much.
I know, I'm sorry. I was trying to make sure we get
like
good value, really high
no,
level.
it is like, I mean, we could talk an hour for each one of those things, but I do want to go back because when I said
Yeah.
like I am a career person because the demand for being a stay-at-home mom is a lot,
Yes.
and
Yes,
it's a
it is.
thankless job. And anybody who does it and does it successfully and well, like
Yeah,
more power to them. So
exactly.
to clarify what I meant is I am a stay-at-home mom, but I also do all these other things. So
Yes,
put
you
those
have
out,
2 full-time jobs.
focus on this. Yeah. But I tried it for 2 or 3 months or 2 or 3 years, and it was a lot. It was a lot.
If it
So
gives you any, I don't know what the right word is here. I'll let you figure out what the right word is. But
yeah.
for me, I tell people all the time, I'm a better mom because I work.
Yeah.
And I think that gives me a lot of clarity to know what matters in the world so I can show up for my kids in a way that's important.
Well, I love your VIP thing. And I think that if we can ask ourselves, because again, all the different irons we have in fire for entrepreneurs, we have several irons in fire.
Yes.
That's what we do. And we wear all these hats. But the VIP is a good way to judge that. Is this worth it? Because I once thought with this this podcast I've been doing for almost 3 years now. And
Congrats.
it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy. And I thought a couple months ago, should I even continue? And for me, it feeds my soul, and I hope it
Yes.
feeds other people because like things that you just taught right there
Hmm.
in a 5-10 minute blurb,
Right.
like it will get me through the day,
Yep.
right? And so
Yes.
that I feel like is this impact that the world needs. So yeah, it's my passion project, right? So does that mean I need to say no to something else? So there's somebody one time that they said, like, get out a note card
Hmm.
and put yes on the one side and no on the other. And
Yes.
whichever one you say, so your superpower to your kids. If your
Yeah.
thing is no, it's like
Right.
saying no to this so that we can say
Yes.
yes to this.
Correct.
You know?
Yes. And the business-minded folks listening here will appreciate this. It's an opportunity cost. It's a trade-off, right? There is a cost to doing both. And which one are you willing to lean into more, and which one will you regret less?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we're trying to get this house that we've rented for years, and our renters for 5 years they lived in it and they destroyed the house, like to the point where we
Oh,
filed a claim with our insurance company for vandalism.
wow.
So it's been a 3-4 month process. And so like any minute that I have to drive 40 minutes away to go work on
Yes.
that,
Yes.
then drive 40 minutes back so I can pick up my kids
Mm,
after school,
yes.
it's crazy and it's sucking the life out of us. And so at what point
Yes.
do we say, you know what, this isn't worth it. Let's just hire
Hmm.
somebody and let's get this done
Hmm.
and sold. And so I think that that's the part is that sometimes things are beyond our control. And so I think that for us, I mean, as a mother and as an
Hmm.
entrepreneur, we really
Yeah.
do have to realize that it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. I love America's Got Talent. And there's
Yeah.
this woman that came on years ago and she was dying of cancer. And
Mm.
she sang this song and it was, it's okay, it's okay. And we came across it the other day and it really is okay. Like she ended up passing away before that season was gone, but
Oh,
she had
wow.
such a positive attitude on life.
Uh-huh.
She was such, like, she gave so much. And the
Yeah.
legacy that you talk about, it's what do we
Right.
want to leave? And
Right.
that needs to be our focus. And if our focus is, like, for me, my legacy is my children and
Yes.
like writing the book that I did
Hey
and
there.
changing marriages,
Yes.
and that's my focus.
Yeah, I love that because what you're not saying is also what probably people need to hear, which is you've found a way to take pain and make purpose from it,
Yeah.
which sounds cliche, but that's actually a ton of hard work. It's
Yeah.
a ton of intentional thinking and forgiving yourself
Right.
and realizing what you've learned so that you can grow from that.
Mhm.
I mean, I commend you because a lot of it's hard. It's emotionally and mentally taxing to think even a little bit about this. I did a seminar this week where I walked women through just the values, and afterwards they were like, "This is so hard." I'm like, "I know, because no one trains us to think this way.
Yeah.
Like we should be teaching school age children that this is how you prioritize your life, but that's not how we live." And then we get to be adults, so we have 50,000 competing demands. And the last thing we want is to be having a heart attack or pancreatitis or who knows what. And then suddenly we're in the hospital bed wondering, how did this happen to me? And you can't control it all, but you can control a lot.
No, and stress. I mean, are you finding a lot more people have autoimmune diseases than ever
Yes.
before? And
Yes.
it's stress. Like for
Yeah.
me, all the different things. And I feel like writing this book was therapy. And even the better thing is my ex-husband just read it.
Oh,
A lot of it, like,
interesting.
yeah. And so he's like, Charisse,
Yeah.
wow. If this text message of the last part of part one, he circled it and just wrote, wow. And that to me, like the emotional triggers that I had, everything that I went through, it was all for that because he's going through a healing process
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah.
And to watch, it is. It's
Mhm.
amazing when you can heal yourself, how your body heals as well. Yeah.
100% agree. I firmly believe God created the body to heal itself. And I've seen that too many times when we get our thoughts aligned, then our actions follow. And part of the thought many of us need to have is this was supposed to happen.
Mhm.
Nothing went wrong. It was always going to happen like this.
Mhm.
And it's supposed to happen. And that's really hard depending on what you've been through. I mean, I was raped in college. It took me a long time to even acknowledge that. And people ask me, how is that supposed to happen? And I don't even have that full understanding yet. So I say that knowing that I'm talking to someone I've never met on your show, right? There's somebody who's listening and saying, well, that can't apply to me because you don't know what happened to me. But I'm telling you that things do happen to us, good and bad, and we get to decide what we do with them. We get to decide what we make them mean. Was it a horrible experience? Of course it was. And have other people been through a horrible experience? Absolutely. So I don't minimize the pain.
Right.
But I have found, especially when it comes to health, mental health and physical health,
Mhm.
being able to say, I get to make this mean what I choose is a lot more powerful than feeling like you never had a choice or you had something taken to you. And they can both be equally true. Same thing with the reproductive phase. Like, I can't tell you how many women have had miscarriages and never tell someone, or who have had traumatic stillbirths or whatever complication, and they just don't talk about it, but that loss is real. How can I say it was supposed to happen? Because it did happen. And that's the heavy, hard thing to think about. And even though it happened, you're still here and you get to move forward. And I try to lean in with a ton of grace there, because what I'm saying is very hard to hear. And it's not the right thing for everyone. So if you're hearing me say this and you're totally rising, your hackles are rising, it's okay. Just think about it, put it away somewhere else until you're ready, because I don't know where everybody's at. It's hearing these words, and we're all on our own path.
But I agree with you. Like, when you can become the victor and take control and say, you know what, this happened and I don't have control over it. Like, I did not, you could not control the situation you were in at that point. But when you like are where you're at now, like, I know people that they live for years, like they're angry at their church or they're angry at this, and they like live in that. I'm like, how sad to me that you have become this victim and you've defined yourself as this. Like, if you could go to the other side and realize, okay, I'm no longer going to let this control me. And that's what I talk about in my book. You can like overcome that. That is the part that you're healed, you're happy, you find that peace and that comfort. And I mean, I was a victim for 15 years, and I like look at some of the people that are close to me. I'm like, why did you let me, like, I was so not an enjoyable person to be around. And now I can look at it and like, kind of like you, where people can think what they want, but that doesn't bother me anymore. It used to. I used to lose sleep over it. Like, I used to get sick, physically sick, because somebody was going to be mad at me. And once you can take control of your life and you can take that back over, it is such a different place than where I was.
And your circumstances don't define you. That is something that I try to teach my kids, because that's not the message we hear in school and culture and in life. Circumstances can be really good or really bad, but you get to choose your reaction to them. I've lost his name right now, but there was a gentleman who survived the Holocaust, and before it, he had written a manuscript, and he ended up being in the Holocaust with this manuscript. I said the Holocaust, sorry. He ended up in a concentration camp with us. And eventually they found it, and eventually they destroyed it. And he still went on to reproduce it after he was released. And it's a beautiful story. I'll try to email you the name of the guy, because you might want that for your show notes. I think you're right, Peter something. Like, he lost his family, his parents died, his wife died. And it's just such an incredible story of how powerful our mind is, and what a wonderful tool God's given us to be able to say these really horrific things happened, and I get to choose my way forward. That is so much more empowering to me. And again, I want to offer a ton of grace to the person who's hearing this, and this is coming across abrasively, because I've been where you're at and it sucks. And I'm going to encourage you to just keep going.
And heal. Like, just find the healing. Take your time if you need to. Get the help that you need to, but you need to heal.
I mean, it took me almost 12 years to deal with what I was dealing with from college. Didn't even tell my husband when I first met him. Like, it was a really thing that I just locked away and wouldn't acknowledge. And then slowly, with a lot of coaching and therapy, I began to realize this has impacted me in a way I don't want it to. And I'm going to change that narrative.
Well, you've given a ton of advice. I love it. It's deep. I wish we had more time, but I do want to ask, and we've talked about motherhood, but you're on that part where I'm assuming you're done with childbirth, right?
As far as I know. Right. I'm not expecting anything different.
So what advice would you give to women who, new mothers that are starting out? And it could be any advice, not even as a new mom, but like, what do you wish that you knew now that you wish you would have known?
So a couple things. One is and this is what my TED Talk gets into a little bit, is the idea that pregnancy is actually a really good stress on a woman's body to tell and predict what's going to happen in the future. So something like 15% of pregnancies are affected by gestational diabetes or abnormal diabetes tests during pregnancy. Another 10 to 15% have some spectrum of either high blood pressure in pregnancy or preeclampsia, even HELLP syndrome. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that means you probably didn't have any of these and you're okay. But for the woman who had any one of those, getting connected with somebody who realizes they're at risk. I was not taught that in medical school. I was not taught that in medicine residency. I learned that because I started doing digging after I experienced these things in my own life. And if you have gestational diabetes, half the women who experience that within 5 years will go on to have full-blown type 2 diabetes. 5 years, 50% of them. That's huge. And then when you think about preeclampsia, it's the kind of the far end of the blood pressure spectrum affecting pregnancy. And if you had preeclampsia or preterm birth, your risk as a woman of dying from heart attack, stroke, or a cardiovascular related problem before the age of 60 is 10 times higher than everybody else's.
Wow.
And yet, if you can reverse the things that caused it, that the pregnancy unmasked, you can get back to a healthy baseline. And so there's this myth, and I was taught in medical school too, this idea that you solve the problem by delivering the baby, ending the pregnancy. But the truth is the pregnancy unmasked a problem that was already there. It didn't start in pregnancy. It was revealed by the pregnancy. So if you've had those disorders, whether you reach out to me or someone in your community, like plug into somebody who even knows that's a risk, because most of our colleagues aren't taught that. They don't even know it's a problem to be looking for. And that's massive. So yeah, so that's the one thing I would say, just kind of on the practical medical side. What I wish I had known as a new mom was, and of course, every mom who's had a baby knows this, but once you've gone through that birthing process, however that looks may not have been how you thought it would look. You might have thought it was going to be a natural birth and it ended up being a C-section. You are still a legitimate mom. You've given birth in all aspects of that experience, and letting yourself acknowledge that it might look different, but it wasn't bad or wrong can be very soothing. I meant to have a natural birth with my first child. She decided instead of term to have her born, right? And so we had a C-section. Did that make me less of a mom? No, but I had a tremendous amount of guilt. So whatever the thing you're carrying is that isn't serving you, it's okay to let it go. And it doesn't have to mean you're a bad mom.
I want to add one more thing to that, so I have a client that a year ago I met them, and they couldn't have a baby, so they paid for a surrogate. And now a year later, they're going through a divorce. And it's unfortunate that in talking, like, it's a sad situation, but one thing I noticed in the conversation that we've had is that she doesn't feel like something didn't connect with the baby. I don't know if it's she was feeling guilty because she couldn't have it, or because like there's so many emotions. And if you've had a baby, if you've adopted the baby, if you've hired a surrogate, if it doesn't matter, as a mother, if you fostered the child, you're a mother and you have this beautiful baby or child that you were given, and embrace that. It doesn't matter how.
Agree.
I think that sometimes there's shaming, like, again, it's a cultural, it's a mental thing that we just have to give ourselves grace.
Correct.
And know that that child loves you unconditionally.
Yes.
And they will do anything for your attention and your love.
And they need you and all your messiness, right? They need you. For whatever reason, you are the person that's their person. So living into that fully, it's beautiful.
I love that. Well, if our listeners wanted to learn more, because I had no idea, like I have 6 kids and it was preterm labor on everything, so it's good to know because of the heart issues that I have had. How would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, a couple ways. If they want to reach out directly, it's probably just easiest to contact us at the office. Our website's vitalitymwc.org. If they want to follow on social, I try to put out a lot of information about these topics. And so whether it's TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, it's at Dr. Amy Tiffany. Of course, professionally, you can find me on LinkedIn, and we've got the obligatory Facebook group. But I find that most people like the at Dr. Amy Tiffany flows better, those media channels better. I will also offer for anyone who you're looking at that phase in your life that you are postpartum and you're ready to start making some health habit changes, or you know someone who would maybe want to do that. The book that I wrote, The Postpartum Pivot, I do give away for free. You just pay shipping and handling and just call my office and we'll set that up. You can get it on Amazon, of course, too. But please don't give it to a brand new mom who's trying to figure out what way's up right now. Wait till the baby's like at least 6 months or a year old, and then you can hand it to them. But I created that out of my own stories of just, it's hard. It's hard after you have a baby to get your body back, and what does back look like and what is normal now. And
Mm-hmm.
we figured that out for ourselves, but we're happy to help wherever if we can plug into support.
Well, and just to plug too, like when I had a baby in 20, and when I had a baby at 30, when I had a baby at 40.
Yes.
Oh, it is.
It's really different.
Yeah. And the energy level at 40 is way different than when I was 20 or even 30. So, yeah.
We have this 5-month-old foster baby living with us. I'm being reminded every day. There's a reason. There's a reason. So, yes, the struggle is real. And hang in there, right? Like, you're where you need to be. Just keep moving forward.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It's been a great conversation, and I hope it's added value to you and listeners. And if I can help more, just reach out.
Thank you. And Unbreakable Moms, honestly, just embrace motherhood and embrace what you're doing, because what you're doing is amazing and you're doing a good job. So don't be hard on yourself, and don't listen to those people that might be, your mom, your sister, your child that are like, you're doing a horrible job. You're not. You're doing the best you can, and believe that, and just love your kids and love yourself. And go out and make it a great day.
I love it.
Beautiful moms, remember, you are unbreakable. Keep illuminating the world with your strength, pursuing your dreams, and reveling in the splendor of motherhood. This is Charisse Walker, bidding you farewell for now. Stay tuned for more empowering conversations on the next episode of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. Until then, keep shining bright. Signing off with love, Charisse Walker.